Okay, we are on, I don't know which part we're on, but we are going to continue anyways. We are reading this section from Nicholas Damascenus, and I'm assuming he's like from Damascus of some sort, probably a Greco-Roman author. Oh, but this one's of Abraham. So, Abraham was the king of Damascus, and he came thither as a stranger with an army from that part of the country which is situated above Babylon of the Chaldaeans. But after a short time he again emigrated from this region with his people and transferred his habitation to the land which was then called Canaanea, but now Judea, together with all the multitude which had increased with him, of whose history I shall give an account in another book. The name of Abram is well known even to this day in Damascus, and a village is pointed out which is still called the house of Abram. And I think this is Eusebius's Preparadores or something like that. I think we saw that in another video. One of his works. But this is from Nicholas, I think, talking about Eusebius. I don't know. I get really lost in all this stuff. Oh, I think right here is this footer. It is doubtful whether the concluding sentence is that of Nicholas Damascenus or of Josephus. It is given in Eusebius. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there's factual evidence there, I guess, of like Abraham coming from Babylon to Canaan, and then what, Judea comes from him too, right? Is that how it works? I think that's what I read when I was a kid. Okay, so this one's of Belus from Eupolemus, and I think Belus is the like Greco rendition of Bel, which is Baal, which that word means Lord or king, or like it's specifically king. It's not God. God is the word Elu. So the ILU, that's like the masculine singular form of God, or like bright one. But Bel or Baal means Lord. So it's just something to distinguish in these old Semitic languages. For the Babylonians say that the first was Belus, who is the same as Cronus, and from him descended Belus and Canaan, and this Canaan was the father of the Phoenicians. Another of his sons was Cum, who is called by the Greeks as Bolus, the father of the Ethiopians. Oh, that must be. Okay, so this is supposed to be Ham, and then I think this is supposed to be Shem and Japhet. Huh. Alright. The information that we have now, sorry, I'm like pondering this. The information that we have now says that Ham was for sure in Africa. Like land was appointed again. Like I said in the other video, like if you want to look at like the way like world history and these descendants are in terms of like a Judeo-Christian like sort of perspective, looking at that way, you have Ham like and his descendants in Africa, and then you have Shem, who's like the middle son that has the lands of the Middle East, and then they say Japhet has the lands of like I think like Russia and like north of the Caucasus Mountains. So south of the Caucasus Mountains are like kind of like the Middle Eastern areas in Turkey. You get Romania and whatnot. North of the Caucasus Mountains, you get like Russia and guess like Ukraine, Azerbaijan. I forget what other ones too. So that's interesting. There's just different names, different renditions of them now. And the brother of Mesraim, the father of the Ethiopians. Okay. Because they like to say, so they're saying in this book that Mesraim, I think that's a biblical word, or specifically specifically like a Hebrew name for one of the Egyptian kings. He was like one of the first Egyptian kings, but I think they want to say that was the same. This is the same name. I think we read that very beginning, that Mesraim and Menes are the same, and then we know now today that Menes is the same as well. They want to say it's the same as Narmer, and Narmer is the southern Egyptian, the first southern Egyptian king that was discovered later. Menes was always known first, but I think Menes comes from Upper Egypt, and Narmer's from southern or Lower Egypt. Not southern. Southern Egypt is Upper Egypt, and northern is the Lower Egypt. So, putting that into perspective, one thing that distinguishes is like why they connect Narmer and Menes is because they say he's the first like official like non-legendary ruler of Egypt. And by non-legendary I mean like I guess like I don't know honestly. There's just they say that's the first pharaoh of Egypt. And then they found like a tablet of Narmer, and he has what is called Hathor, and it's this like cow god. It's like a cow moon goddess. It's like a turquoise. It's like symbol is turquoise, and then it has like a crescent moon, and then it's like a cow. And this is like a maternal goddess. But this was like before all this other stuff. So, again, that's just another tab we can put on there. So let's continue. The Greeks say, moreover, that Atlas was the discoverer of astrology, and I think they were saying, I don't know, I don't want to get too lost in this. Like I said, this stuff is just all like, they just like to do a lot of parallelism in these books, or in this book specifically, a lot of parallelism and comparing. It's not 100% for sure. I mean, it's just stuff you just kind of really consider, not so much just kind of think of it as just like, oh yeah, this is what these ancients were saying, and this is 100% true. It could be, and it more than likely is, but it's hard to say for sure. All we can do is just kind of like put together stuff more, and keep putting stuff together, and have different people keep putting stuff together until we discover what is really being said here. So, Talus makes mention of Belus, the king of the Assyrians, and Cronus the Titan, and says that Belus with the Titans made war against Zeus and his compeers, who are called gods. He says moreover that Gyges was smitten and fled to Tartessus. See, this is where I get confused, because like I want to say like, you know, the what they name Belus is like the same with Zeus, but it's saying here that like Belus and Zeus are like different people. It's really confusing. And I know that there's Titans, and there's those are the Titans were like here on Earth first, and they like come from Gaia, and then there's like the Olympian gods, and the Olympian gods I think came from the sky. I think that's how they put those together. According to the Thales, Belus preceded the Trojan War. Of the Assyrian Empire from Theseus. In like manner all the other kings succeeded, the son receiving the empire from his father, being altogether 30 in their generations of Sardanapalus. In his time the empire passed to the Medes from the Assyrians, having remained with them in upwards of 1360 years, according to the Theseus of Nidian in his second book. Okay, hold on. So he says, so there's the Syrians, and then, so the last Assyrian king was Ashurbanipal, and we know that from his library. And then this book is saying right here, in his time the empire passed to the Medes, and the Medes are the people that basically were all the predecessors to Cyrus the Great, which we know who Cyrus the Great is, and he's the Median king. And he came over to, all those lands and, relinquished the Judeans, or, they're under Babylonian captivity. So, let's see here. I'm going to look up the first, who Sardanapalus is, and if that's the first Assyrian king, or this is some sort of, I really don't know too much about the Assyrian kings. I just know that some of them have, names that are pertaining to some of the gods that they praise and whatnot. I'm gonna ask who's Sardanapalus. Sardanapalus is a legendary figure, often depicted as the last decadent king of Assyria. While he doesn't appear as a specific king in Assyrian records, his story has been a powerful theme in Western art and literature, particularly during the Romantic era. Greek writers like Ctesias and Diodorus Siculus are the primary sources for the Sardanapalus legend. He was an extremely pleasure-seeking monarch who ultimately met a dramatic end. However, historical Assyrian records do not mention a king by this name. Modern scholars believe the character of Sardanapalus is likely an amalgamation of several later kings, particularly Ashurbanipal and his brother Shamash Shum-Ukin, though the legendary portrayal bears little resemblance of their actual, often militarily powerful and scholarly reigns. Okay. Holy crap. That's crazy. I think, dude, honestly, I think this book was written right before they found Ashurbanipal's library. I have the book. I have a physical copy of the book of when they discovered it and wrote about it. This book, I think, is just right before it. Wow, that's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. So, what the hell? Okay. I wonder why they recorded that. Okay, let's go a little bit more. The most famous aspect of his legend is his death, facing defeat by rebels rather than surrender. Okay, so that kind of sounds common in those lands. That tended to happen a lot, especially with those empires in those lands. It was just like a rebellion and kind of like an upheaval of another kingdom. Okay, I'm just kind of reading all this. I'm trying to I'm seeing if if the AI compares the two here in this little. How much do Sardanapalus and Ashurbanipal differ in? Let's see. I know they're gonna differ a lot, but there might be something technical that we could point out or keep a tab on. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, obviously there's no Assyrian king. We established that. Let's see here. He's depicted as his life in luxury, engaging in transvestism practices. I don't know what that means. His reign is depicted as leading directly to the collapse of the Syrian Empire. Okay. High point, but marked by military victories, including crushing the Elamites. He died of natural causes. Okay. Fall of Nineveh. Okay. Okay, sorry for the silence. I'm trying to like piece this all together. So, best known for assembling the library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh, first systematically organized library in the ancient Middle East. Is a collection of tens of thousands of cuneiform tablets is an invaluable source of information. Yes, I know that. Okay, let's see. I guess this is just like a different rendition, but it seems like the decline of the empire is due to rebellion. So wait, did they both fall? I think Ashurbanipal, like the Syrian Empire fell like after his death, right? Did they both die after the fall of the Assyrian? Okay, so this is a critical point differentiating between these two people. Ashurbanipal did not die after the fall of the Assyrian Empire. The real king died in 631 of natural causes. His reign was the zenith of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. The fall of Nineveh, the capital of Syria, and the ultimate collapse of the empire occurred years after his death. Oh, okay. Okay, so, I mean... Huh. I guess they could have, like, put everything together as, like, an amalgamation and just named him Sardanapalus. He dies during the fall of the Assyrian Empire, because that would have gotten lost, too. Or, like, it would have been easier to record this. But now that we have like full translations, we know what actually happened. Is that it wasn't Ashurbanipal who had fell with the Assyrian Empire. It was that he had a great library and he was known for all this like cultural stuff and was probably seen by others and outsiders as somebody who was like kind of like a literature fiend or kind of weird, I guess, in a sort of sense. I think so, because the way they're depicting, him as Sardanapalus by the Greeks is like obviously as a foreigner, but more so as just kind of like a person who's just kind of like self-interested and kind of pleasure seeking, which is kind of different from what's actually been recorded historically. Unless of course what's recorded historically is like a propaganda type of way of explaining it. I mean, who really knows, but in any case, it's interesting to know. I wonder if they're going to bring up Ashurbanipal in this book at all. I'm really curious. They haven't mentioned the word Sumerian, and I think Sumerian, well, actually, I don't know if Sumerian was used in Ashurbanipal's works, or, well, not so much. It was more of, what was in there were tablets that were written in Sumerian and then also written in Akkadian. And then a lot of them were written side by side for scribes to learn. And this guy collected all this stuff. Like, some of the stuff wasn't even written by him or any of his scribes. It was written, like, much longer before. He was collecting stuff. That's kind of why I'm saying, the pleasure-seeking thing would have been kind of, like, seen by outsiders of him. But realistically, this guy was, like, collecting some crazy stuff, man. Alright, so this is from Diodorus Siculus. In the manner above related, the empire of the Assyrians, after having continued from Ninus 30 descendants in more than 1400 years, was finally dissolved by the Medes. Okay. from Ninus 30 descendants. So the first, okay, so the first, I'm gonna ask the AI right now. Here, I'll just pull this up. So the first emperor of Assyria was Ninus, and then, oh shoot, I was gonna ask it something else too. What was I gonna ask? Oh, and did they fall to the Medes? Ninus was a legendary figure, not a historical first emperor of Assyria. Ninus was a mythical king from Greek mythology. He is depicted as a great conqueror and founder of Nineveh. However, modern scholarship, based on extensive archaeological discoveries and Assyrian cuneiform records, indicates that Ninus is entirely fictional and not attested in any Mesopotamian kings list. Dang. So they didn't really have the actual names of these guys. That's crazy. They didn't pass down the names, but they knew about that's crazy. They didn't have the right names, but they had the story right. So I'm wondering if all these Viracocha, right, Quetzalcoatl, or you have the storm god, I think Teshem, you have Zeus, you have Enki, right? These are all just they're telling the same person, a sky god that's has the power of thunder and wind, right? And he's the god of the word, and the god of word is synonymous with the god of wind. But if the story is the same, then look at what we're looking at right here. What we have is people renaming stuff and forgetting their names, but remembering what they did. So that just kind of puts some stuff in my perspective, and really interesting. Truly interesting, honestly. I'm actually gonna end the video right now. I'm trying to make these videos a lot shorter, so we're gonna leave off right here with Herodotus. Actually, oh man, I want to read more of this. No, maybe I'll lose my train of thought. There's so much to unpack here. I don't know if I can just drop the video right now. No, I'll drop the video right now. We'll continue this in another part. I'm trying to make these videos shorter because I'm kind of getting daunted from a daunting feeling from coming home from work and trying to record, and I'm just oh man. And it's a lot of thinking, trying to piece stuff together on top of thinking at work for the whole shift and whatnot. But in any case, yeah, we'll just continue on the next part right here.